Hello and welcome to Blaine, Minnesota for continuation coverage of the USA Cup 1986, and we've got a very special game on tap for you this time because it's a team between the U.S. National Women's Team and the Canadian National Women's Team. Dave Kaiser with you again, along with Alan Freilich and Nick Manchu, and we'll be covering this game for you between these two national teams. The United States is in the blue and Canada is in the red, and we'll fill you in more on the teams and the players as we go along. United States in control at midfield. And these teams with the players in the age of 20 to about 28. And so they are some very good players, a lot of college players for both teams. And so we'll see a lot of skill in this game tonight. Ball back to the USA goaltender. These two teams did play earlier in the week. And Alan, that was a game that was won by the United States by a score of 2-0, and they played a very nice game.
Well, it was a good game. The first 20 minutes of the game was a matter of each team feeling each other out a little bit. It was a little tentative, but then it calmed down a little bit, and the U.S. began to dominate. They played a little bit more with each other. There was 2 goals, like we said, scored in the game. Joan Dunlap of Seattle scored one of them, and Marcia McDermott of Chapel Hill, North Carolina, was able to score the other goal for the USA team.
On the field, first save for either team by Kim White, the goalie for the United States. She was the one that played the other night and played an outstanding game, and she's started off well again tonight. United States with their first chance into the Canadian zone. Ball across to the far side, and that may make it to the touch line. Well, the goaltender's going to come way out of the nets and play that ball. Something we've seen from some of the foreign teams so far in this tournament is that the goaltenders are not shy to come out of the net. They will come quite a ways to play the ball.
An important thing, Dave, to remember is the goalie for the Canadian team, Sue Simon, has really only played with her teammates just 1 or 2 games. One inter-squad game and then the game against the USA last Monday night. So she's just getting used to our defenders and fullbacks and midfielders play along with her, and that's an important thing for a goaltender to know.
In talking with the American coaches, it was only their first game together, the game that they played on Monday night in this tournament, because this is a team made up of players from all around the nation. They pull them together to form the national team, and they'll be getting ready for a tournament in Italy, which is later this month. And so they're playing right now to decide really what players are going to make that trip. And they've got 24 players on the roster tonight, and it'll be down to 16 after tonight's game. So this means a lot for a lot of these girls on the field. Canada again with the early pressure, and again it's Kim White out of the goal to make the save. She has been busy twice so far in this game. Canada with the early pressure. As is the case a lot of times in soccer games, the goals don't come right away. It takes a while. That was the case in the first game. The first goal for United States did not come until 20 minutes into the first half. But Nick, you might think that a goal might come earlier in this game here, since these two teams have seen each other
I really would imagine, since now the period of studying each other has gone, and I think both of the teams are going to get on and try to score as soon as they can. The Canadian team seems to be in favor of an early beginning with a goal, but our defense looks really good as it is right now, and I believe that in this game the team that's going to have the strongest defense is going to win.
That often seems to be the case in international play, that the defense really make the difference in the games. Out on the field, looks like we've got a corner kick for the Canadian team, or excuse me, for the United States. And the Canadian team is packing everyone in for the corner kick. They've got all 11 players near or in the penalty box. Corner kick coming from the far corner, as you see.
Corner kick is a very difficult sort of defense because there's a lot of players bunched in the same area, so the goalie is going to have a really hard time to get to the ball.
Most times it's a little more difficult than that one right there, as the United States player hooked it behind the net, and we'll head right back the other way. The Canadian team with the goal kick. In that last game, as Alan mentioned earlier, the goals came from Joan Dunlop. She is a player who played for the University of North Carolina. She has graduated from that college. And the other goal came from Marcia McDermott, who is a current player at the University of North Carolina. One thing we've seen early here too is that these two teams play very strategically. The defenses are very good at pulling up and trying to create an offside situation. We just saw that from the Canadian team. We'll see how the U.S. works that as well. Pressure by Canadian team. Back to Kim White, who is a University of California graduate. I believe I'm close on that. She may be...
No, Kim White.
Canadian.
Oh, Central. Well, the second we try to look this stat up, we get a goal, and the Canadian team has taken an early lead by a score of 1-0. And it discouraged Kim White. Nick, I think you had the best look at that.
As I said in the beginning, they had 3 people in our immediate goal area, and they were passing really good. It was an offside. It was far away from being an offside, and they scored. It was a really nice goal. The goalie didn't have absolutely any chance. It was 1-to-1 on a 7 meters area. It's a very limited chance to defend that.
We will do our best as well to run down the number of the player that did score the goal, since there was quite a pile up down in that area. And Alan will head down right to the bench and find out what happened there, because some quick action there, and the Canadian team strikes early to take a 1-0 lead. We should mention that in this game, if the Canadian team does win, they will go to a 30-minute additional game to decide a winner. Again, this game is very important for the U.S. girls as far as making the team, and the same for the Canadian team, but there's some other things that go along with it, as we'll tell you in a moment. Ball out of bounds across the touch line, and the United States will have a throw-in on the near side. And there you see our score. Excuse me, Nick. First half play, the Canadian Nationals ahead of the United States Nationals by a score of 1-0, and Alan has found out that information.
Well, the first goal scored was for the Canadian national team. Geraldine Donnelly, number 6, forward for Canada, scored the goal on a nice pass from number 8, Charmaine Hooper, another forward for the Canadian team.
We'll mention a little bit more about what I was saying about the importance of this team. There is talk of trying to get towards a Women's World Cup, and that could come in late 1987 or 1988. And it's important in each game that these national teams play to look very good, so they do get an invitation to a possible World Cup. So this game does mean a lot for both teams. As another chance here, on goal, and the Canadian team clears it away, as the United States putting some pressure on right in front of the net. Emily Pickering, one who was right in front, she is a midfielder, but she is the quarterback of this American team. And she made something happen that time, and it turned into a corner kick for the United States.
Defender Kathy Ross for Canada was able to clear that pass. It was a situation where her goaltender may not have had a chance to come out and get it, so Kathy just kicked the ball out of bounds and forced the corner.
Corner kick is short and low, and we've got a foul on the United States. And Canada will quickly work towards the direct kick. And the United States team not wanting anything to happen close, well, they can't prevent that. They kept the players down there, but the Canadian team gets it back to their goaltender. And they will head downfield. A lot of pressure on by the Canadian team. It has been in that end of the field most of the time. That's really the first look the Canadian goalie has had at the ball for quite some time. Chris Tomek sending the ball down the line. That's cleared right out of bounds by the Canadian team. They'll take a throw-in on the near touch line. And the ball quickly in the corner for the United States. Emily Pickering trying to make something happen, and she does. Another corner kick for the United States.
To clear up a little confusion for you viewers at home, there is two sidelines that you may see. The one closest to the bottom of your screen is the touch line that they use. The line a little bit further toward the center of the field is a line which they're using for some of the younger teams who are playing here at the USA Cup. So it's a little confusing if it's the line closest to the bottom of your screen, which is the line they use as the touch line.
While we have a moment, we want to mention the coaches for these teams. Anson Dorrance is the head coach for the U.S. national team, and he is also the coach at the University of North Carolina. And Hank Loon is the assistant coach, and he is the head coach at George Mason College. And Neil Turnbull is the head coach for the Canadian team. As there you see the cross, and it's a nice one by the United States, but unfortunately it gets all the way through. And now a long shot back in on goal by Stacy Enos, and the goaltender has no problem with that. Canadian team seems to like coming back to the goaltender out of their end and get it in that goaltender's foot where she can send it nicely out and even past midfield. The United States has been working at right wing, and it works again this time. Sent into the corner. Running the ball down is Pam Cornell. Makes a nice move back, trying to get it back in the middle, but the Canadian defense stays with it and takes it away. Ball out off Canada. Sally Perry, player for the Canadian team. Ball now cleared out towards center field, and here comes the Canadian team again. The United States has 3-4 players back as they are keeping some players back on defense, as a lot of teams do in the international competition. And we'll have a throw-in for the United States. And a nice throw-in it is, and the Canadian player a little too close. Sally Perry again, right on the back of the U.S. player. United States will take the kick. Stacy Enos now takes the ball and sends it in towards the goal area. The ball is still loose. And nice play by the goaltender for the Canadian team, and she finishes it nicely by jumping on the ball. Sue Simon, the goaltender for the Canadian team, and she has had her work cut out for here early. Even though her team does have the 1-0 lead, she has been quite busy on some nice runs by the United States. And we'll have another whistle, and we'll turn back around the other way. That's one difference, Nick, that we see here. We did a team, or a game earlier with some 16 and under girls from the United States and a team from Norway, and we did not have many fouls called in the entire game, but here on this level, it seems that they get a little bit rougher.
Yes, I believe that both teams are more mature, and physical contacts between the players are a little bit rougher sometimes. It's interesting to notice that the Canadian team, in the first few minutes before they scored, they were throwing the ball ahead. They weren't throwing the ball ahead. They were just trying to construct their attack right from their immediate goal area. Now, after they scored, they're coming back and throwing the ball really far, counting on number 8, Charmaine Hooper, who's really strong and very fast in the offensive line. And I think the Canadian team is pretty much trying to hold on to the game right now. They are not putting too much pressure on our players.
According to Coach Turnbull, Neil Turnbull, the head coach of the Team Canada, told me before the game that was the style of play they were planning on. His quote was that he would like to play defense like the Europeans and control like the Europeans, but attack like the Brazilians, with the go in quick spurts and Ooh, there was a chance right there. But going to quick spurts like that, and that's how they did score their goal. They were opportunistic, and it's a 1-0 game in favor of Canada.
A nice chance there for the United States. As Alan said, it was a long free kick for the United States, and it looked like the ball took a bad bounce in front of the goal. Sue Simon, though, able to control it. And now we've got another whistle, and we'll have a free kick for the Canadian team at midfield. And we'll see what they can work on again as they hold the 1-0 lead. A ball sent to the far side, and Kim White quickly out of the net to pick that up. Kim, grad of University of Central Florida. She did play that entire first game, a shutout for the United States. Some contact in the air, play goes on. As we said, these teams will look on towards Italy. That is July 22nd. The United States does have their work cut out when they get to that tournament because their first game is against a team from England, which won that tournament last year, and if that isn't bad enough, then they have to play a Brazilian team as well in their bracket. So they will have their work cut out, and they've got a lot to look forward to during this season. Ball comes all the way across for the United States. They try to make a run on it, and they got some help there as they got a whistle, and they'll have a kick just out of the box. So that will be about 20 yards out, and it will be interesting to see how the Canadian team sets up for this. They will set a wall. Emily Pickering looks like she'll take the ball.
Very interesting. I wouldn't think they would play a straight shot.
Now, it looked like it was an indirect free kick, so they did have to have two players touch it, and the Canadian team jumped on that quickly. After the first touch, they were right out to the ball. Another cross inside. The Canadian team gets their head on it, but it's still loose in front, and Sue Simon almost had to come out to pick that up. Now it does come out across the touchline, throwing for the United States. And the U.S. continues to keep pressure on here midway through the first half of play. Ball again out of bounds off the Canadian team. They're not bashful about putting it out of bounds, and the thing is, when they do, they send it about a field length away. They really put the foot into it out of bounds. That's why we have a few extended breaks here as they try to run down the ball. It's not like playing in a stadium where it bounces right back. A lot of soccer fields out here at Blaine, and if you did not have a chance to see this tournament, it's something you'll want to catch next year because they have got over 140 teams here for this USA Cup, and this is just another added treat for the people here at the tournament.
Overall, Dave, there's 11 fields out here at the Blaine Athletic Soccer Complex. We have 142 teams playing in the Sons of Norway USA Cup. There's over 3,000 players that will be playing games. 350 games will be played this week. And you're seeing some of the best soccer right now.
Ball right along the touchline, and Nick, you mentioned Charmaine Hooper for the Canadian team, and she does look like she takes control when it gets up to that forward line. She had a nice chance there. Looked like she appeared to lose the ball, but then she picked it right back up.
I think she's really good at controlling the ball, and that is going to mean a lot for the offensive line, for the Canadian offensive line, because the moment she gets the ball, she automatically has two U.S. defenders on. So the defense line is going to concentrate a little bit more, our defense line is going to concentrate a little bit more on trying to keep her away from the goal line, which means that the center line is going to be a little bit free for the other players.
It looks like they have a player marking her. The player that has been shadowing her for most of the game is Lori Henry, number 2, and as the ball gets down towards that end of the field, you can see that Lori Henry is about in Charmaine's pocket the entire game. Canada trying to work something at midfield. They're looking towards the line to try to get it down to Hooper, and now the ball finally does hit Hooper, and she makes a nice play on the ball, but I don't think everyone else knew quite what she was going to do. Now for the United States, a break down the left wing. They have not used that wing too much. Ball carries to Lisa Gmitter. And a centering attempt broken up by Team Canada, and they'll bring it back out towards midfield. Hooper, the only player down there for Canada, and she's going to have a tough time trying to make something go on that type of a play where it's just a 1-on-2. Ball across the touchline, thrown for Canada, far side of the field. Another point we want to mention in this game is that they will be playing it under a restricted substitution rule where each team can only have 3 substitutes. So we will be seeing a lot of these players that are on the field now that started the game playing the entire game because of that rule. Although both coaches did comment that they will be making some substitutions because, again, they do want to see what their players have got as they try to narrow it down for some upcoming tournaments.
Well, there's another reason why the Canadian team will be substituting a little bit, but they don't really have too many substitutes. They've lost at least 3 of their players in the last 10 days through injury. They're down to really only 12, 13 healthy players for tonight's game.
Nice ball to midfield and a good flick header for the United States. The ball will go into the corner and finally goes out of bounds, and it's going to be USA ball. A nice run by Pam Cornell, who is a player for George Mason when she's not with the national team. And she'll get the ball off the throw and turn towards the goal and can't catch up to it before it goes across the end line. Goal kick for the Canadian national team.
Interesting occurrence on that last attack by the USA. Defending for Canada was Janet Lemieux. Janet Lemieux and the goaltender Sue Simon for Canada have played on the Edmonton Angels, which for the past 4 years have been national team champs in senior women's play up in Canada. So they've played with each other a bit and know their habits a little bit. The other member of this Team Canada who has played on the Edmonton Angels is Tracy David, number 5.
Sue Simon with a nice kick out to midfield, and here's Hooper again trying to make something happen. And the United States team, with the shadow on her, is able to clear it away. A little more insight into that last game on Monday, talking to the coaches with the United States team. They feel that if they would have finished a couple chances properly, they could have easily won that game by a score of 4 or 5-0. So they really felt that they played a fine game. And I'm sure if the Canadian team would have heard that comment, that probably would have fired them a little bit more up for this game. But it looks like they are ready to go for this game because they do have a 1-0 lead here early.
You may have seen a handball there, but the referee signaled that the advantage would go and continue on, and play continued.
And the Canadian team will try to make something happen out of that, and they continue to move downfield with some nice tackles. Now Hooper, well, she's going to be called for a push, and we'll be going back the other way. The United States national team does not waste any time. Midway through the first half, the U.S. national team is continuing to play well and dominate play. If you were looking at actual play time of control time, which a lot of coaches do in this level of play, it looks like the United States team does have the edge there. They have controlled the ball quite well. Any Canadian scoring chances have just been by momentary rushes, where the United States has been able to work the ball. But my feeling about that is a lot of times, even if you control the ball a lot, if you don't score the goals, it does not matter how much you really control the ball.
No, not really. I think the Canadian team has settled down and they're pretty much satisfied with the score. They will, I think for the rest of the game they're going to try to hang on to the score and just count on Charlene Hooper on a very sharp and very ingenious attack. She is indeed extremely dangerous. As soon as she gets in our half, in the United States half, she can be very tricky.
And it's obvious that the United States national team does know about that because they are marking her very tightly.
I think that's a very good idea.
We've had a substitution here for the United States team. Michelle Akers came out, and she wears quite a knee brace, and it looked like they were maybe looking at that right when she came out. Number 15, Cindy Gordon, in for the United States team.
Cindy Gordon, as a forward, plays at Western Washington University out in Des Moines, Washington.
All played down by the United States team. That will get back to Sue Simon. And if she falls into what she has been in the past, she'll bend down, pick that ball up, and she will send it across midfield. She has got quite a leg, and yes indeed, again, it heads across midfield. A nice play by the United States on the ball, and they will try to keep the pressure on. Now the Canadians' turn. A nice chance down the left wing. It's a race to the corner.
Number 10, Tracy Watson.
And the ball will be out of bounds. The Canadians will take the throw-in. Tracy Watson from Manitoba, the player making the charge there and making something happen for the Canadian team. We'll see if they can keep the offense on here for a few minutes. They have not been able to. And here comes the throw-in for the Canadian team. A lot of fans now down towards that end of the field, and it's getting a little difficult to see there. A good crowd here for this game. I'm sure a lot of the younger players from around the world want to come and see these players play, especially the girls, who a lot of times in the United States it doesn't look like they have a lot of places to play after college, but this is proof that they do with the U.S. national team.
Earlier, before tonight's game, I ran into one of the premier soccer players in the Twin Cities, Tracy Savage, who just finished a career playing on the Osseo Senior High team. Tracy is one of the top players, I would say, within the Twin Cities and probably the state. I know she's been all-state a number of times, and she's here along with her dad Bill watching tonight's game. Looking around to see a few other high school soccer players, both boys and girls, out here to pick up a little tips and see how some of these players are playing.
Certainly, this is a game to watch and a game to see. Really, what you can see in these games is how the coaches from the two specific teams feel that the game should be played, and you can get really at the trends of the sport, because you see a lot of different things happening with the Norwegian teams and the European teams, and if you don't see some international play once in a while, you don't really know what's happening in that sport.
That last play was called offsides. Was also, the kick was wide of the net, so Sue Simon, goaltender for Canada, will take the punt.
United States right on the ball at midfield. They have really kept the pressure on throughout this first half. And there's a nice ball sent through. It'll be a race towards the goal, and Sue Simon quickly out of the net to pick that up.
Give you some idea of the popularity of this tournament. During opening ceremonies, over 8,000 people attended opening ceremonies, which were held at Blaine High School. That's some testimony to this tournament, the Sons of Norway USA Cup.
And this is the second annual tournament, so from the looks of things, they have done real well in year one, and year two is even better, and year three ought to be even better than that. Canadian national team with the chance. The ball sent right in towards the middle of the goal. The defense able to control that. Ball sent towards the corner, and it will go across the end line. Well, it's down in that corner where it's hard to see. Looks like they did keep it in, but they did send it across the touchline, throwing for Canada in a dangerous area. Ball sent in deep. And a nice play by the U.S. defense, and we'll have a comment or two from the referee as the Canadian player got up off the ground, and you see she's paying for it right now as she's a little slow to get up. That's Maureen Cant, I believe.
The referees for tonight's game are some of the top officials in the state. Playing in the center referee is Al Klanitis. Running the line, senior linesman is Willie Van Duyevert, and Greg Adler is the junior linesman tonight.
Kim White now picking up the ball and clearing it over to the side, and the U.S. team will try to work out of their zone, something they have not had to do too many times tonight in this game, as they have put the pressure on the Canadians for much of play, although once again the score is 1-0, the Canadian team ahead. Ball across the near touch line. The U.S. will quickly get it back in play. And it looks like we may have a penalty called right in front of us. And it will be a kick for the U.S. team. Again, Nick, we see that contact factor coming in. These girls are not afraid to use the body a little bit to try to get to the ball. And
no, I think that's a really good thing that the contacts are really rough, because as they will get in Europe, the play is going to get rougher and rougher. The European soccer is extremely pro-injury, I would say.
That's exactly right.
And
so
it's not going to be it's going to be a factor as far as our team is concerned. They really haven't played against really rough teams. Another thing to notice is that I think it would be a really good idea to let the Canadian team come over in our side. That would give us a little bit a wider range to work on, and maybe some of our offensive players could score. Because the moment we start to put pressure on the goal area is really congestion, and you can't control the ball, you can't score. It's difficult to control any kind of.
That's exactly right, and that's what we see with a lot of the American teams. They try to work things right down the middle many times, and you'll see the teams from other countries will take advantage of the sides, bring it down to the corner, and bring the ball in. See, the U.S. team does not waste any time when that ball goes out of bounds. They want to get it back in play and keep the pressure on. They are a very quick team, according to their coaches, and you see why.
Well, there's another reason why they're playing as quickly as they are. Do remember that the USA team does have 24 players here, versus Canada only brought 16, of which, again, 3 to 4 are injured. So the USA can go ahead and have many substitutions, and I'm sure we'll see a lot more substitutions as the day goes by, as they're testing out, trying to pare down their team down to the 16 players they'll be bringing to Italy.
Emily Pickering for the United States controlling that midfield. She worked on it for about 30 seconds, but finally was taken off the ball, and the Canadian team will have the throw-in right in front of us.
Emily Pickering is one of 8 players from the University of North Carolina that are playing for the USA team. The 2 colleges that are most represented are the University of North Carolina #1 and George Mason University.
And there's a couple good reasons for that as I talk to the U.S. coaches. Number one is, as we mentioned earlier, the coaches for this national team, the head coach is the head coach from the University of North Carolina, and the assistant coach is the head coach from George Mason. But so it may seem a little strange, like they're pulling some of their own players along, but another good factor to that is those 2 teams are the top women's teams in the country, so they have to have a lot of good players. And that's why they are here. Throwing for the Canadian team. Dangerous territory for the United States, but they're able to clear the ball towards midfield. Ball comes near the touchline. And throwing for the United States. Right in front of the U.S. bench. Ball did go across the touchline. It's really tough to see. There are almost 3 lines in front of us. Alan mentioned that the inside line is the one that some of the younger kids play with. Then there's an outside line, and then if you get into this area, there's almost a 3rd line. So there was some confusion there. But the ball is back in, and the United States making another rush here. Lisa Gamitter. I'm hoping I'm pronouncing Lisa's name correctly. She has made some fine plays so far in this game. Ball back to midfield, and Hooper touched the ball for the first time she has in quite a while. The Canadian team will try to get it back towards her. Ball sent to the left corner. No one home though for the Canadian team, and that may just go all the way out. It does. Throwing for the United States. Back to Kim White, the goaltender for the United States, who has had past national experience, as have a number of these girls on the United States national team. And the United States again will try that left wing, a little push there, and if you could hear the Canadian bench, they would have let you know that that was a foul in the United States, and we'll head back the other way.
Cindy Gordon was guilty of that pushing foul, and Canada will take the free kick.
According to the coaches, Cindy Gordon is one of the players that they usually take off the bench as the first sub, but she must have played well in the last game, well enough to get the starting call. Or no, I believe she did come off the bench. That's correct. She was the first sub, so the coaches did hold true to what they said they would. Marcia McDermott, who scored a goal in that first game, was also one that comes off the bench. She is number 12, and so we will look for Marcia as we get into the later points of this game. She scored that second goal about 15 minutes into the second half of the 2-0 win by the United States team on Monday. Nice cross of field by Lori Henry, and the United States continues to try to work that left wing. Ball high in the air now, and the Canadian team appears to have some height back there on the back row, and that has caused some trouble for any high balls from the United States. Play on call by the referee, and the Canadian team will work to clear on the near side. Nice ball down to Hooper, and it's loose in the corner, and here's a foot race for it. And Hooper shows that she can control the ball. Finally taken off, and we'll have a throw-in for the Canadian team. And you'll see when we get into these levels of play, the teams really set up on these throw-ins down deep like a corner kick, because a number of the teams have players that can throw that ball quite a ways and almost turn it into a corner kick. And there you see the Canadian player, which will do the honors. And they decide to go more towards the corner, and it is not going to pay off as the United States able to clear the ball away. Ball all the way to the far side of the field. And the United States will get it back to their goaltender, and she'll bring it right back across.
About 9 minutes are left in the first half. Talked with the timekeeper, and also one of the assistants that's here to help the referees is Ricardo Gonzalez.
The time that they're playing, perhaps, are they playing 40 or 45? Do you know?
And I'm not sure. I believe that it's 45 minute and a half, but I will have to check, and we'll bring that information to you folks a little bit later on this game.
A number of different variations when you get to some of the international play and then some of the younger play. They do change it. It's not like a lot of sports where the time is set. They do change it around in soccer, and so we'll let you know about that as we continue on. 1-0 Canadian Nationals, first half of this game. United States in the blue, Canadian Nationals in the red. And a nice play by the U.S. team down towards the right wing. And it looks like the ball may have crossed the touchline. Another throw-in for the United States. Again, a lot of players and fans down that way, and it's a little tough to see at times. The ball in. Sue Simon has to come out and make the save, and it looks like we may have a corner kick. Nope, it looks like the ball must have gone off the United States player.
Well, Cindy Gordon once again. And they're trying to do her best against goaltender Sue Simon. Simon with the goal kick.
If Gordon keeps this up, the fine play that she's displayed here in the first half, one might think she may not be coming off the bench too much longer. She'll be in that starting lineup for this team. Something I'm sure herself and all these other girls for the United States team want to see happen. Them be in the starting lineup when they head over to Italy.
Number 17 on the overlap.
United States sending the ball back, now trying to set something up. Crossing fields towards our side. And the ball sent down towards the corner. We'll see if they can catch up to it. They do, but the Canadian team sends it right out. Janet Lemieux clearing the ball across the touchline. There's a long cross. The goaltender misplayed it a little bit, and their defenders helped her out on the far side. Goal kick for the Canadian national team.
I don't think the goalkeeper could really see because the ball was coming from the sun. The sun was really playing an interesting game in there.
I think you're exactly right. That ball probably looked like it had got about 100 times bigger as it came over, because the sun is getting low in the west here, and that's exactly right where that ball came from. Canadian team trying to get something going by sending the ball deep into the corner. Geraldine Donnelly racing for the Canadian team, but the U.S. gets to it first, and Kim White will take control back at the goal. Little different style between these two goaltenders. It appears that Kim likes to throw that ball out and start something right from her goal, where Sue Simon on the other end for the Canadian team really likes to send that ball downfield and get things moving immediately. Free kick for the U.S. team. United States still in control, and a cross would be nice right here. There it goes. And a nice attempt by Chris Tomek. Number 14 for the United States with the diving header, just could not get up to the ball.
Chris was left all alone coming in from the right-hand wing position. Left all alone. Actually, she plays a midfield position, and she just raised her hand, and a nice crossing pass, and that was almost a goal for the USA team.
Very heads-up play by the United States player. It's a lot of times tough to see what's happening on that opposite side of the field. But the player for the United States had that sense and sent that ball across for really the best chance so far in this game for the United States team. Here's another chance into the corner, and it'll be Chris Tomek again, trying to run it down. Ball will go across the touchline. Well, and it looks like Chris Tomek is the one that hit it out of bounds, throwing for the Canadian team. Dave Kaiser along with Alan Freilich and Nick Manchu bringing you soccer from USA Cup 1986.
Great tackle there by number 17. Good skill there. And cleared out of bounds.
Ball cleared out of bounds by the Canadian team as the United States has again regained pressure. The Canadian team only able to put up occasional spurts on offense, and the United States team has really controlled the ball. There, a little rough play by the Canadian team. Tracy David sent one of the United States players to the ground, and that will turn into a kick for the United States, and we'll see as they send a number of players into the penalty box what this turns into. Nice high ball, and the Canadian team able to clear that away, and you see how quickly they move up on the defense to try to create an offside situation. Ball played nicely in the corner by Lisa Gittmuller. And it turns into a U.S. corner kick. The United States has done a good job in the corners, turning some opportunities into corner kicks. A lot of movement inside, and there's a kick. It comes out. Quick volley by the United States. It's right into the Canadian line, and now here's the ball quickly downfield. Charmaine Hooper does catch up to it. Just momentarily, though, enough time for the United States to knock it off her foot and get a throw in. And it looks like the ball will head back to the goaltender for the United States. And again, she rolls that ball out, keeping control.
And she switches it back.
Intercepted by Canada now at midfield, and they'll make another attempt at it. Cooper has not had too many chances on the ball, and that might not be too good for her. She looks like the type of player that wants a lot of contact with the ball and try to make things happen. She may be just getting a little tired just from standing around. Ball sent back across. The United States will have a play on it here. And nicely done. The ball comes back out towards midfield. Both players almost head into the ground, and the Canadian team able to pick it up at midfield. Loose ball now in front of the goal and play dangerously into the air. United States able to head it away. Here's a chance for Canada. Shot on the ground, and they score! And there you see a very disturbed United States defense as a couple bad plays there, and the ball was cleared right up into the air, and the Canadian team took advantage of it, and we believe it was Geraldine Donnelly with the goal, her second goal. And so she is having a very good game, a very good showing for her, no doubt, as the team will try to move on. And there you see the goaltender for the United States, who has to be discouraged there because it looked like the ball should have been played back to her initially, but it was sent right up into the air, and that's when trouble started for the United States.
My compliments to our crew on that one. They were right on that one. So our compliments to our entire crew on that one. Able to bring you that goal by Geraldine Donnelly. 2-0 in favor of Canada.
Geraldine Donnelly will probably have a check in the mail to the crew for covering that one nice. I'm sure she wants to get all of that on videotape. And with that, we're going to have the end of the first half with the score 2-0. Northwest Community Television bringing you USA Cup 1986. And this is a special added attraction to this tournament, the game between these two national teams. Once again, the Canadians in the red, the United States in the blue, and a throw-in for the United States on the far side of the field.
A reminder that at this Cup game, in addition to these two teams that you're seeing, we have over 300 games that have been played as part of the Sons of Norway USA Cup. We have at least 13 states which are represented, all the way from Ohio, Illinois, California, Maryland, Wisconsin, Missouri, North Dakota, Texas, Oklahoma, Indiana, New Jersey, and Virginia. Most of the teams are from Minnesota, 83, but we do have another 60-some teams which are from other states, and we also have another many teams from other countries. We have teams that have traveled to the USA Cup 86 from Canada, Mexico, the Philippines, Nigeria, and Norway.
Here's a nice chance for the United States. The ball sent across, but the Canadian team able to clear that out. Nice play by Lisa Gmitter. And now a ball back to the goaltender for the Canadian team, Sue Simon, who did see quite a bit of action. You look at the score and you would think that the Canadian team has dominated play in this game, but that is really not the case. The United States controlled the ball for much of that first half, but they just could not get the ball in the net. And a few times that the Canadian team did make some rushes, they made them pay, as you can see with those two goals. United States team trying to work the left wing again, as they did much of the time in the second half, and we've got a United States player down. They got the ball right in the face, and the ball goes across the end line, or I don't know if it did go out, but the referee stopped play anyway, because Cindy Gordon took a hard shot right in the side of the face. And I think she's convinced the referee that she's okay and will stay in, and we'll start play up with a kick for the Canadian team. Ball sent right in front of us, and Charmaine Hooper with momentary control. The United States takes it away from her. Again, they have kept an eye on Charmaine the entire game. Charmaine has come up with one assist. Nicely played into the corner for the United States, and a race to that corner will produce a goal kick. And 45 minutes, that is the time for each of these halves, and we do want to add that if we do end up with a Canadian win in this game, they'll play a 30-minute extra game to determine a champion. And so right now we are on the road for another 30-minute game, but the U.S., I'm sure, would like to not see that happen. Ball cleared across the touch line, and the United States will have a throw-in deep in the penalty area for the Canadian team.
What's amazing to me, Nick and Dave, is that both sides are a conglomeration of players from all across their respective countries. You know, Canada has players that have come from British Columbia, Alberta, Quebec, the Maritimes, Saskatchewan, from all over the various provinces of Canada, and they're getting together just in the last 10 days, and they're playing well as a team. Same thing with the United States team. And there's players from all over, predominantly dominated by University of North Carolina players and George Mason University players, but there's players from all over, from Washington State and many other states that are on this team, and they're playing well as a team. And I think they'll only get stronger as they play together more.
Nice chance here for the United States as Michelle Akers takes the ball in the corner, and it's just headed across the top of the crossbar. And I believe that was number 15 in there, Cindy Gordon for the United States. She has really been in the tough play. And there you see Cindy. She caught one in the face just a few moments ago, but that did not slow her down any. She had a nice attempt on goal there. First real chance for the United States here in the second half. Just 5 minutes in, and we've got a 2-0 lead for the Canadian national team. Sue Simon to take the kick, and she'll send that to the touchline. United States there to intercept, and now the ball controlled by the United States. Ball still loose. The United States almost with the chance there, and now the Canadian team able to regain control. Ball played back behind the U.S. player. She has to come back for it, and now we'll come back out to midfield, and the U.S. will set up again. Charmaine Hooper takes control for the Canadian team, and she's going to head down the wing. She's got control as we call play on, and they finally did call a holding call.
I think that was an obstruction call.
Yes. Looked like the referee was going to let play go on, but as soon as Hooper lost control of the ball, and it really showed that the infraction did hurt Hooper, the whistle was blown. There you see the U.S. defense setting things up around the edge of the penalty area, and here comes the ball in, a nice shot in, but Kim White easily out to pick that ball up. It looked like it was a good play in towards the goal, but it may have been a little bit too close, and Kim White able to easily come out and pick that off. Ball right in front of us along the touchline. It is amazing how many times the ball will come along the touchline and you think for sure it's going out of bounds, but these players have such skill with their feet that they'll keep it in. They'll literally walk the tightrope along the touchline. Ball down now, Canada trying to play it in. The United States, nice play there by the defender, and she'll bring it over towards the near line. Cindy Gordon knocked off the ball, and here comes Canada again, and a player up in the air. Canada will have a free kick.
That was Geraldine Donnelly that got tossed up in the air, the 2 goal scorers so far. She looks okay though.
And we'll still try to run down the ball, and the Canadian team trying to set something up here. You can see if you look right in front of you on the screen, hardly any Canadian players there. Where they all are is on the other side of the field and ready to run in as soon as the ball's played. And here they come in, and Kim Wyatt high up in the air, and she ends up on top of 2-3 players. Now the ball sent in nicely, and Wyatt has to make the save, and she may be injured right now after making that save. A very nice play by the Canadian team. They knew Wyatt was out, and as soon as they saw her out of the goal, they chipped it high, and Wyatt had to really go up and make the save, and it looked like she might be
Looks like from here, that's goaltender Kim Wyatt, who's being carried a little bit more toward the medical facilities they've got set up.
Play back underway with a corner kick for the Canadian team, and again, to update you after that long break, the score is 2-0. And again, the U.S. has used all their subs, and so now the player in goal for the United States is number 2, Lori Henry, who now dons that green shirt, which I'm sure puts a little added pressure on her. Not something she wanted to be half the doing in this game, is being in the nets.
Lori Henry, who was playing that combination sweeper goaltender position, just talked with one of the officials, Ricardo Gonzalo, and Ricardo informed me that the USA will be able to make that substitution if they go into an overtime game.
Well, that's good to hear for the United States, and I'm sure the Canadian team, even though they probably like it how it is now, feels that that's the fair thing to do, is that they want to have the United States be able to get their full amount of players with that injury to the goaltender. It looks like the paramedic unit just left here, and they may have been taking Kim with them. Throwing for the Canadian team, and the ball's going to hit right back off the touchline, and the United States quickly turns it around with the throw in their way. And the United States, even though down 1 player now, continues to keep the pressure on. Michelle Akers with the ball in the corner goes across, goal kick for the Canadian national team.
You'll often find that when there is an injury which takes down a certain player and teams play one person short, it's always more difficult playing one man down. Yet the rest of the players seem to band together and play a little bit harder. And often you can find some pretty aggressive play going right after a player is taken away after an injury.
After all of that, of course, the clock was stopped. As here we see Charmaine Hooper coming in, and the United States players really got a fistful of shirt there and pulled her down, and that probably was the only thing that she could do. She'll get a card here, a yellow card, which means a caution, and one more card she'd be ejected, but not much else she could do there. Stacy Enos, the player, who really did what she had to do in that situation.
I think that was actually a pretty good play, considering that Charmaine Hooper had to break away. As long as it was about 10 feet, 10 to 20 feet before the penalty box, so we had no penalty kick or anything. It was a good play.
And she did it in a nice manner, too. There are some times when you have a situation like that that the player can be taken out a little roughly, but she grabbed a good chunk of shirt there and just pulled her down nice and easy.
I don't know if there's a nice manner of doing that, but I guess at least there was no injuries and no goal, and that was the important thing.
And so now the Canadian team will have a nice chance with the ball just outside of the penalty area and a direct kick. And we'll see what they do. They have 3 players around the ball and a wall built for the United States, and Hooper tries to feed it right through for a player breaking. Can't do it. The wall stops it. And here comes the United States again. Nice play by Gordon, keeps it in bounds. Now plays it back out front, and the Canadian team will take over there. Things getting a little bit rough now towards midfield. Emily Pickering that time with elbow into the back of one of the Canadian players. Free kick right there for Canada. And ball sent across field. Hooper went down. No foul was called. But the Canadian team continues to hold on to the ball until the nice defensive play by Marcia McDermott. And the ball comes across the touchline. Canadian quick throw-in. Ball played back for Canada dangerously. And here's a break for the United States. Michelle Akers and Sue Simon makes the heads-up play and comes out and get it. Now the United States will try to get it back in quickly. They can't. Goal kick for the Canadian team.
Michelle Akers had a good chance there. She made a cardinal mistake, though, for a soccer player when they're dribbling. She looked down at the ground, down at the ball, and she lost control of the bouncing ball a little bit, and during that time, Sue Simon, goaltender for Canada, was able to come out and sweep it away.
The third good chance for the United States team. They have not had a good chance for quite a while. But again, the Canadian team has really capitalized on their chances. Not many good chances, but they've had 2 that have turned into goals. The Canadian team still not able to, or the United States not able to get a goal in the net. Free kick for the United States, far side. It's a ways out, but this will almost be a corner kick. And there the ball is crossed over, and Gordon just can't get her head on it. Ball flicked back in, and another corner kick for the United States. Cindy Gordon, another nice play. Cindy with past national experience, and she was the one again that came off the bench early in the game, and she's played well, very well.
It's interesting to see, Dave, that the U.S. is attacking a lot more now. They've got to the point, really nice shot by U.S. team. I'm trying to figure out which player that is. Number 13, I believe.
Number 13, Betsy Drambor.
They are at the point where they got nothing to lose, so they are going to attack non-stop. Every chance they get, they're going to attack. And the Canadian team, the game is not over yet. The Canadian team is very vulnerable, especially in the defense. We haven't tried them really hard, but right now is the time when we could turn the game around. going to be really interesting to see.
Unofficially, 30 minutes left in the game as Sue Simon gets ready for the goal kick. And you can see the national team from the United States has really pushed things up. In fact, they've only got one player now on their side of midfield.
That's their goaltender. That's their goaltender, Lori Henry. In fact, I was just listening to the coach of the USA team, who was telling Lori, shouting out at Lori to play up. There was only a few minutes left, about, I'd say, less than 20 minutes left in the game. And if they're going to come back, they have to play very offensively, take a few chances. So the entire, they have 10 players up on this side of the halfway line.
Another tough tackle there by the United States. The United States will take the free kick. Marcia McDermott, the receiver of a lot of the shin there, she took a hard chop right on her shin and went down. Nice ball across, but the Canadian team able to clear. Now McDermott with the header sends it right straight up in the air. And the U.S. Well, we've got an offsides. The Canadian team good at that too. Not only do they need to be able to play the ball well, but it helps on the strategy end to be able to play that offsides where you move everyone up quickly, and they did it effectively that time on the United States. Simon with a nice kick, and it comes all the way down to Hooper, and Hooper will try to make something happen, although not much happened there. Flag up on the far side from the linesman, but nothing was called there. Play continues on.
That's a referee's discretion. Linesman's there to alert him to a foul that he might see, or to alert him to going over the touchline. But it's the referee's discretion whether or not...
Very nice play by Michelle Akers. Let the ball go through her legs, and now she's beat two players. The ball across, and a big pile up in front. Sue Simon trying to get her hands on it, and she finally does. A nice play by Sue Simon as she definitely got caught in the traffic jam there. About 5-6 players right in a bunch all went down, and Sue Simon was the first one up, and she jumped right on that ball to stop any chance for the United States. Very good play.
Excellent play, but she got up a little bit slowly. After diving like that, and after all that action, I can understand why.
Three players down at midfield, but Hooper ends up with the ball, and Hooper makes a nice turn. She's got a player open, and there's the cross, but they called the offsides.
It was Connie Kant that was offsides.
Some of the players thought play might have been going on, but they will hold things up, and now the ball will go back to the new goaltender for the United States. Her first action, Lori Henry, as goaltender. She's able to clear the ball away, and now we've got a kick for the United States right at midfield. And the United States really playing quite well here with one player down. They've really kept the pressure on. Ball is in front, a shot on goal, and just over the top.
I think the United States player right now, they are really anxious to score, and that's why they keep missing the goal area, because they're really anxious to get on with it. I think the moment they scored one goal, the whole game is going to be totally different. They're going to get their hopes up high again. Let's just hope that in a few minutes they're going to score.
Right. They are running out of time. Lisa Gamitter, the player with that nice shot, and she just did not get the knee over it enough to keep it down. The United States again with the pressure on. There's another cross in front. That goes across the end line. Michelle Akers. It appears right now that Akers and Gamitter are really taking control up there on the front line. We have been calling their names quite often. Now the goal kick for the Canadian team, and the U.S. setting up for it, and they play it nicely. Ball now over to the left wing, and it's sent quickly out of bounds. And there you can see, I mentioned earlier how far the ball does go. Sometimes it goes out of play, and there you can see it crossed the road and went down the hill, and they've got a long ways to go to pick that up. But with a little help from some of the fans here, they get it back into play quickly. And the United States will try to continue to make something happen in the corner. And there you get a good look at how tight they are into the corner. And that's Akers again. Trips over the ball, and the Canadian team able to clear. And as the United States player plays it, she loses her shoe. We saw that happen earlier today with, and here's another nice chance for the United States. Simon comes out and makes the play. About the shoe, we saw that happen in another game we had here between the United States team from Brooklyn Park and the Norway team from Bergen, and it was a funny fact there because those two teams were hosting each other, the Norway players staying with the Brooklyn Park players, and when one shoe came off from the Brooklyn Park team, the Norway team went and picked the shoe up and almost put it back on for her, but I don't think that'll happen in this game. As you saw, the U.S. had to go get their own shoe. The Canadians weren't going to help them out there. Canadian coach now up, and you might have heard him a little bit. He was telling his defensive players to move them up and to keep the United States team out of their end, and so they have done that. They've moved all the way up to midfield, and they'll try to keep that last line of defense really tight.
Dave, you were talking a little bit earlier about the homestay program. All these visiting teams from other countries and other states are staying at the various homes of various soccer players and families throughout the Twin City area. And it's been a real excellent experience for all these, both teams, team members, and for the families that are hosting. And as some of these visitors to the Minneapolis-St. Paul area are able to see some of the fine spots in the Twin Cities area. They've visited places like Como Park Zoo, the River Place Shopping Center, the Metrodome, the Arboretum, University of Minnesota, and they've been very impressed with the Twin Cities area. So it's a little bit of goodwill that this USA Cup has brought.
United States not too impressed with what's happening right now in the field, as it looks like the Canadian team will get another free kick just outside the box, and Hooper takes it, and she's going to take it herself just over the top of the crossbar. The Canadian team with another fine opportunity, and I'm sure Lori Henry is probably breathing a little easier now, being a defender normally, but now she's in the net, and I think she's glad she didn't have to touch that one. Ball quickly back out to midfield. The United States will try to work it continually, as they're down by a score of 2-0 with approximately 22 minutes, so we're halfway through this second half of play. And then the United States player keeping the Canadian player off of her with a little extra activity there, but the ball did get back to Lori Henry. United States again in control. Emily Pickering right at midfield. Now, the ball finally cleared all the way across to the far side of the field. That'll head out of bounds. We'll have a throw-in for the United States. Chris Tomek, a player for George Mason College, will take the throw-in. And the ball again heads out of bounds. The United States still trying to keep that pressure on.
Another chance to rest, too.
That's right. They, I'm sure, need that. No more substitutions for the United States, so it's all the way for these girls the rest of the game. A nice cross, but that's going to be past the goal, across the end line. Goal kick for the Canadian team.
About 15 minutes left in this game, approximately.
Definitely, yeah.
And the goaltender for the Canadian team, no, she's not looking for a new car there. That's the parking lot right behind the goal. There's not much room there.
That car she was looking at was mine, so I hope she's not looking.
Did you leave your keys in your car?
Uh-oh.
Well, she's gonna take a long trip around here. There's a puddle of water there, so she found the smart way around. Sue Simon will get back to her post, and we'll get this game back under play.
I'll tell you, with the velocity of some of the shots that we've seen in tonight's game, I'm not so sure I should have parked my van behind the net. might find a few dents in that van. There's a chance for Canada.
3-on-2, and they play it nicely through. Well, they just called it offsides, but I'm not too sure, and I don't think the Canadian team is too sure. Breaking for the ball was Maureen Kant, and she just was caught probably a step offsides.
Yep. It's interesting that if Charmaine Hooper continued to go towards the goal line, they wouldn't have called offside. So it was in some way it was an intelligent play. She took a chance. but she could have gone ahead and played the game.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the linesman that called it, Willie Van Duyvert, is one of the top officials in the state of Minnesota. He knows what he's doing, and if he said it's offside,
Yes,
it is.
Close call there for the United States. Lori Henry, again in there as a backup goalkeeper because Kim Wyatt, the goaltender for the United States, was injured earlier. Little close there. She'd like that ball played back a little bit faster. Here's another chance for the Canadian team. And Henry has to come out and play the ball again.
Very nice play again for Charmaine Hooper. She tried to get the ball by our players. Fortunately, she didn't succeed. But she's a continuous danger towards our goal area. She seems to be the base of the offensive line, Canadian offensive line.
Ball back to the goaltender again. All of a sudden here, it has seemed that the momentum and play has changed. The Canadian team has turned it up a notch or two, and they are really putting the pressure on the United States. And it may be a factor of the United States players getting a little bit tired and having one less player out on the field.
And just a reminder for those of you who may tuned in, about 10 minutes into the second half, the keeper for the USA team, Kim Wyatt, went down after making a superb save. It looked like she landed on her shoulder. Paramedics were called, and she's having that checked out right now. In the meantime, the USA had already used up all their substitutions and are playing a one person short.
Ball sent through, the United States trying to catch up to it, and the Canadian team, as they have many times when the United States has put pressure on, able to send it across the touchline. The United States will take a quick throw-in. Akers with the throw-in. And ball out in front. And it looks like the United States wants a corner kick, but I think it's going to be a goal kick. The United States trying to speed up play, and the United States player Chris Tomek helping out a little there to pick the ball up quickly. They know time is running out here, and if they don't win here, they're going to have to play another game. Another 30-minute game that will decide this series between these two national teams. A little rough play on the far side. Canada called for a push. United States with the kick. And ball got through a few people. United States still in control, and they'll look to the corner for a cross. The Canadian team really putting the pressure on over in the corner. There you see how tough it is. The touchline almost becomes another defender in that situation. The ball finally across the line. The United States with the throw-in. And we'll look for a cross here. One step to the corner, and again, the United States not able to turn on it. Ball back to Chris Tomek, and now she'll send it all the way back, and the U.S. will try the other side. And the Canadian team clears it away again. Here comes another cross. The United States keeping the pressure on, and Sue Simon with the save.
Number 13.
United States stuck to it that time. Betsy Dambor with the nice shot on goal finally after 2-3 tries, and the Canadian team shutting things down. They did get the good shot on goal. But no rest for the United States. The Canadian team right back down. Charmaine Hooper unable to pick up the ball, and the United States will send it all the way back. Change fields. Now come right up the middle with Emily Pickering. Nice play to the corner, but the ball ends up going out of bounds. Throwing for the Canadian team right in front of us. Nice header back down. The Canadian team has to hurry to get to it. They do make it in time, and the Canadian team with another rush. Nice pass outside, and now they put it out front, and it's a race. And it's going to be picked up by the goaltender, Lori Henry. It's Henry against Hooper, and Henry had a step on that last ball.
Canada throwing.
Throw-in for the U.S., or for the Canadian national team. Maureen Kant with a throw-in on the far side. Again, recapping the scoring if you're joining us late. 2 goals in the first half for the Canadian team, both from number 6, Geraldine Donnelly, who we really haven't heard that much from here in the second half. I'm not sure if she's been taken out or what, but we definitely have not been mentioning her name too many times. She did score 2 goals in the first half, 1 unassisted and 1 on an assist by Charmaine Hooper, and that's where we sit, 2-0 for the Canadian national team.
And that was dangerous right there.
Misplay by United States. A little help though, and they pick it up, and now here's the ball right up front. Lisa Gemitter goes in, the defender gets back, and a nice turn on the ball. It's rolling, and it'll just be wide. Corner kick for the U.S. team. Number 11, Lisa Gemitter, with a nice chance there. She took it pretty much all her own. And she went back to help get the ball quickly out to the corner so the U.S. can take the corner kick quickly. Keep that ball in play.
Geraldine Donnelly, who you were mentioning earlier, still is in the game. She's playing that left wing position for Canada. But we are going to get a substitution right now. Number 11 for Canada is coming in. That's Anne Marone. She'll be coming in. She's from Quebec, and she'll be coming in on this substitution, replacing the Canadian player number 15, who is Jean Monsey from Saskatchewan, the only player from Saskatchewan for the Canadian team.
So the Canadian team gets the ball back in play, and they've had the pressure on here in the last few moments. Marsha McDermott, who had a goal in the first game between these two, has been held scoreless in this game, and players getting a piece of each other's shirt there. They're going to stop play. Kick for the Canadian team on the near side of the field. A few nice headers, and now a loose ball, and Charmaine Hooper trying to get to it, and she did, but with a little rough play at the end. And the referee will have a word or two for her. The United States doesn't waste any time getting the ball back in play. And another tough play right in front of us. You could hear the players yelling that ball's out. Again, a little confusion with the lines, as there's almost 3 lines in front of us. But the referees finally got the call down, and the players got back to playing, and the U.S. team now racing towards the ball. This one will make it all the way out. United States with another throw-in. Cindy Gordon, who's been held quiet for the last few minutes. She was making things happen earlier in the game, but lately she has been quiet. The two real instigators on offense have been quieted down for both respective teams. Offside, and it looks like Charmaine Hooper was caught.
A few airplanes buzzing overhead, so their occupants can go ahead and look down at this game and a few of the other games.
United States with the goal, and it's Lisa Gemitter. So that'll turn it to a 2-1 score, and Gemitter that time, it appeared to me, Nick, really had a tough angle and an amazing shot on that goal.
I think that's what she should have tried to do in the first two times when she had a chance to score. She should have tried to shoot on the on the goal and just forget about dribbling and passing the goalie. Because the moment you try it hard, it's really hard to control from the goal. She had a really nice shot.
Gemitter is a 21-year-old from Trenton, New Jersey, and has played with George Mason University the past few years. Nice goal by Lisa.
So that makes things very interesting right now. Now it makes it 2-1, and the United States will really be up now after that goal, because they have a chance to pick up a tie here, and I would believe with the tie that would be it. The United States would win this 2-game competition. And so the United States has got new life with a goal from Lisa Gemitter.
We'll have to check on that. There may be an overtime even on a tie. On some of the other games, I'm not so sure, but we'll check on that and bring that to you in just a bit.
Again, there's about 14 minutes left in the game, in the second half, and time is really a factor right now. But after this goal, I believe that the U.S. team is gonna get wings. And they're going to try everything they can. Every chance they're going to get, they're going to attack.
Well put. They are flying high right now, and I'm sure they'd like to get the ball back to Gamitter because she really looks like she has turned it on here in the second half, and she's had many fine chances from that right side.
I just talked with one of the representatives from the USA Cup, and he informed me that if it does end up 2-2, that USA will win the USA Cup.
Even more incentive for the United States to turn it on here in these last 13, 14 minutes of the game. Again, it may seem like a lot of time has passed, but 45 minutes per half here in this play. And so plenty of time for the United States, and they've got a nice chance right here as the ball is sent errant by the Canadian player.
That was Kathy Ross, who just kicked it over the end line there just to prevent any play. I think she wanted to get a little bit closer to the goal, but you never want to kick it right at the goal because just in case it might hit a rock or something, go over the goaltender's shoulder, and then there's another goal for the USA. So we have a corner kick for the USA team.
And a very important corner kick that will be, and you can look at the action right in front as the players, and one thing you can notice that they are all shielding from the sun. The sun is really low on that side, and that will be a little tough, but no problem for Sue Simon. She made a nice play to knock that ball away. And now the United States team, a long shot in, but that's wide of the goal. Very nice try, and oftentimes that will be what happens, and that's really the play that got the United States goaltender hurt, Kim Lyon. It was a play in, and then it came out to the midfielders, and they played the ball in and caught the goaltender sleeping a little bit, although that time Kim made a nice play on it, but did get injured. The United States there with a nice chance, and they keep the pressure on here in the closing 10 minutes of this game. Ball headed back in by the United States. They'll play it on the near touchline, and the Canadian team again content with cleaning it out of bounds, but that may hurt them in the late going here as the United States will keep the pressure on. Ball played back midfield to Debbie Belkin. Ball in, but offsides. Gamitter a little bit too anxious that time. She got one goal, and I'm sure she'd like another, and that time a step ahead of the Canadian defense. And again, we've mentioned a few times during the game how they're very good at moving that last line of defense up to create an offside situation, and they did it again. Not quite as much from Simon that time. She may be timing a little bit in the nets from all this pressure by the United States. Ball played on the far side of the field by the United States, Betsy Drembur. And she continues on with the ball, and finally she ends up in the middle of three Canadian players. And here comes the United States again. Be looking for a long cross. It's played nicely across. Ball to the far post, and it goes past everyone. And we'll have a goal kick for the Canadian team.
Good chance once again for Michelle Akers. Almost had a chance to put that ball in. Just wasn't able to time it correctly.
A lot of activity in front on a lot of those plays, and every once in a while we'll have a player hiding in the weeds on the far side, and that's what happened that time, and it almost paid off for the United States. Ball through now, though, and here's a chance for the Canadian team, but as soon as it gets down towards Hooper, she got her elbow up and pushed the Canadian or the U.S. player off. Nice step by the United States. Here's another chance, trying to move out front into traffic, and the Canadian team, the defender, cleared that away.
That was a real nice play from the wing, from the left side of the goal area, and she could really score in there. Canadian team really took a deep breath after that. That went away.
Another chance for the United States, and coming over the ball is Betsy Jambor. And that ball goes across the end line. I think on that last defensive play for the Canadian team where it got a little shaky down there, it was Geraldine Donnelly who scored the 2 goals. So we haven't mentioned her name much the second half, but now after a fine offensive first half, comes back and probably makes the play of the game so far on defense for the Canadian team. That might have been as good as scoring a goal because she probably saved the tying goal by the United States. Ball down to midfield, and again it's one-on-one, and Hooper unable to come up with the ball. It played out of bounds by Stacy Enos. really that's been the offense here in the second half for the Canadian team, getting the ball down to Hooper and letting her go one-on-one, but that has not worked out very well. Throwing for Canada, and the ball sent down the line, and it's decision time here for the goalkeeper. She does come out, and the ball almost does get by her. Again, a substitute goalkeeper in there for the United States team as the starter was injured. And the ball finally cleared high into the air. That's going to be played by the Canadian team. But the U.S. comes back up, and a nice cross field will give another chance for the United States. And here they come, a lot of pushing, and it's going to go against the United States.
Okay, Dave, it's going to be a real problem in the 30 minutes that we might see, because the U.S. team is attacking non-stop almost, and they may be tired. They have to try everything to score, and that may be a really big factor in the next 30 minutes.
I think you're right. I do not think they want to see that other 30 minutes, so they're going to do what they can.
Definitely.
Sue Simon with the kick there, and then they'll bring it back to her, and she'll let it fly again. And now another nice punt for her. She had a few bad ones. We thought she might have been getting tired, but I don't think so. I think she's ready to play. Ball played back to the goaltender, and as soon as the goaltender kicked it, an offsides call was called as the Canadians did it again.
Little offside trap.
The United States are looking towards the ball. The Canadian team is all running forward up to midfield and ends up in an offsides on the United States. Unofficially, I think we will have about 7-8 minutes left in this game, so time continues to tick away on the United States. A long ball by the Canadian team, but the United States able to hit it right back out to midfield. Still loose now. Pickering sends it up. Here comes the United States on another rush, and when they rush, they have 4 or 5 players up there. They are not staying back at all. Anson Dorrance, the U.S. coach, quickly up off the bench, and his exact words were quickly, quickly, quickly. He wants his team to use that time the best they can. Ball played in by the U.S., and the shot on goal goes wide. And a Canadian goal kick. Good look at Michelle Akers, took that kick. And she has really made a lot of difference for the U.S. offense in the second half. She has had a lot of good chances. And here comes the U.S. again. They are really keeping Simon busy. And Simon, much like her defenders in front, just content with kicking it across the touchline. United States right on top of it, and they'll try to play that ball across. Again goes across the touchline. Comes right back in.
I apologize for us this second half. We've been saying Michelle Akers. Michelle Akers was substituted for in the first half. She had that knee brace. Now, when you said that, I was looking and I saw that the girl wearing number 8 this half doesn't have a knee brace. As I'm finding out is that April Heinrichs has put on that jersey. So every time we've been saying Michelle Akers, it's been April Heinrichs this second half.
Well, our apologies to April, and April has played a fantastic second half of play. They warned me ahead of time that they were going to do that with the jerseys, but little did I know that they, in a huddle at halftime, made that switch. So April, good job in the second half, and she has really done a good job for this U.S. team, and that definitely helps her chances to make this team. Hooper with a nice cross, but that's going to go too far over the top of the net, and a goal kick for the United States. Time continues to tick down. They need to get the ball up the field quickly. Again, 2-1 our score, the Canadian national team on top, and we are late in the second half. Good close look at the United States defense there, and the Canadian team right on top of them, not letting them get the short goal kick back to the goalkeeper. And so away the ball went. And the Canadian team with a nice chance, Hooper. And that just goes over the top, and I think it might have been deflected. Well, no, I take that back. It's going to be a goal kick for the United States.
What a gorgeous night here out in Blaine for soccer. What a beautiful night. We got a temperature probably in the low 70s and no wind per se. And players out there are able to give it their all the entire game. And they've played about 40 minutes so far this second half. 5 minutes left in the game. And they're giving it their all. 2-1 for the Canadian team so far over USA.
April Heinrichs with another nice move, and here she comes in. One player to beat, and that player stopped her. And the Canadian team gives her a hand. A real nice play, because April Heinrichs was taking it to everyone, and that was the last player to beat.
And I believe the players are looking forward, the Canadian players are looking forward for the 30 minutes coming up. They try to throw the ball as far as possible and take a second of rest.
The 30-minute overtime, by the way, will be played in a series of 2 15-minute overtimes.
Yes.
There's another nice chance for the United States, and now we've got the Canadian goalkeeper down. Couple players right into her. Chris Tomic. That's the whistle for the game, as Sue Simon took a seat on the ground. She must have known something about the clock, because she began her little rest here, because what's going to happen is we are going to have 30 more minutes of soccer because of this tie. One game, one win apiece for the United States team and the Canadian team. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a quick break. We'll let you know one more time that the 2 goals scored by the Canadian team came from Geraldine Donnelly, and a nice goal in the second half by Lisa Gamitter for the United States, but it was not enough, as there you see the final in this first game today, and we're going to have 30 more minutes of soccer, so please stay with us on community television. Alan has got some good news for us about the goaltending situation as we begin here.
Well, the goaltender for the USA team was injured in that first game, Kim Wyant. She was taken off, had her knee examined. We thought she landed on her shoulder from our angle. She did land on her shoulder, but her knee had gone out on her, and she's holding the right knee. She's back on the not on the playing field, but on the sidelines, cheering her team on, holding an ice pack to her right knee. But she says she's in a lot of pain, and is just hoping that her team can go on. And her substitute is out there right now. Substitute goaltender is Gretchen Gegg, and Gretchen has had a lot of experience playing in Seattle, Washington, for the University of Washington. 22 years old.
Let me interrupt you quickly as the United States gets a goal. Pam Cornell with the goal for the United States has a lot of action right in front, and you can still see the goaltender for the Canadian team, Sue Simon, sitting down on the ground. And that's about where she was when the shot went in, as the United States with many nice tries there. And so the United States, after losing the first game, an hour and a half of soccer, and they lost by a score of 2-1, they come out in the first minute of the final game, and they score a goal. Pam Cornell with the goal for the United States.
Again, there was a really big congestion in the penalty area on the Canadian side, so we took advantage of the confusion that it created, and they scored really nice.
And here comes the United States one more time. Cornell again with the ball in the corner. She's taken off the ball, and now it will be a throw-in for the Canadian team.
I think now we're finding the fact that the USA does have 24 players here versus Canada's 16. That's coming into play a little bit right now. Players are a little bit tired on Canada's team. Also, the fact that the USA has a 4-year edge on the Canadian team. USA has had this program of women's amateur soccer going on for about 4 years right now on this level, whereas Canada's has really been formed over the last 2 weeks to 3 weeks. And that 4-year edge will show up. But remember, both teams are just a conglomeration of some of the best players from their respective countries. We're real happy to bring this quality of play to you here in the Twin Cities.
Here's a chance for the Canadian team as the ball comes over to the near side. Ball crossed in front, and that's Geraldine Donnelly, who's done most of the damage in that first game you saw. Ball sent back down into the corner, and Hooper's going to try to get to it before it goes across the end line, and she won't be able to do it. Goal kick for the United States, and there's our first look at the new goaltender, Gretchen Gegg, who finally got her chance. She probably felt the worst once Kim Wyatt went out that first game because she could just not come in. Here she is, the backup goalkeeper, and she could not come into the game to show what she's made of, but now she does get her chance. The Canadian team lets the ball go out on the far side. Canada will have a throw-in.
Very nice play again.
Maureen Kant will take the throw-in once she gets to the ball.
I'm sure a little bit later on in this broadcast we'll be able to have one of our cameras pan down this near sideline. We have a lot of fans who are sticking around to watch this game. They're seeing some of the best soccer that they've seen in a long time. Both of these teams are putting their all out to entertain us.
And right now we're going to all see a corner kick from the Canadian team as they've got a good chance to get back into this final game, this extra game in this competition between the two countries.
Taking a corner kick is going to be Tracy David for the Canadian team. She'll take a nice run at the ball, and you'll see her swinging it with the right foot, swinging it out about 20 feet in front of the net.
And the Canadian players move as the ball comes in, and nice play by Emily Pickering to send that ball far out of the danger area. And finally cleared across the touchline. No, it's kept in nicely by Canada, and here they'll have another chance on a cross. Ball comes in front, and it's a race towards the end line, and the goaltender, Gretchen Gegg, will win it. Gegg wastes no time getting that ball back out. Now ball out of bounds off Canada. United States throw-in. Lori Gregg with the throw-in, and here comes April Heinrichs again. She's played well, and she's got a nice chance here, breaking in on goal. She scores.
Lots of credit has to go to April Heinrichs on that. She did that all alone. Coming down the left-hand side, she beat two defenders, squeezed right through them, then he was able to put it over the outstretched hands of the goalie Sue Simon from Canada. It's a 2-0 lead for the USA team.
And the other look of the celebrating from the United States team is Sue Simon, the goaltender. You see her right there for the Canadian team. She really had no chance on that, Nick. It was one-on-one, and when it's that situation in soccer, the goaltender is almost helpless.
It's a matter of luck once it comes to there. Again, it's very interesting that as soon as we scored, the Canadian team was forced to attack, and that left a very wide range for the left wings in our team, which determined this goal. Now it's going to be just a matter of keeping on the score, but I doubt that our girls are going to settle down and just defend themselves. They're probably going to keep attacking.
No, they still got a few things to prove, I think. And there the ball goes across the touchline. United States. No, Canada will have the throw-in. But a 2-0 lead for the United States in this final game in this international competition. April Heinrichs with the goal, and also with the goal for the United States, Pam Cornell. And Gretchen Gegg, who slipped a little bit there as the ball came back to her, and that almost got by, and that could have really turned this game right back around. We saw how that made a difference in the first game as it was 2-0, and then once the United States got a goal, they really put the pressure on, and that really sparked them. Pickering tried to play the ball across, and Hooper breaks that up, and she barrels in the United States player and stays with the ball. And now the ball finally sent back to the goaltender, Gretchen Gegg, and she'll quickly clear it out. Definitely a trait of the United States goalkeepers. They do not hold on to the ball too long. Well, just as I say that, Gretchen Gegg decides to hold on to it, but they have really been getting that ball out quickly, getting it back in play, and trying to be a integral part of setting up the offensive rush. Dangerous play there by the Canadian player, but it pays off as the ball goes down in the corner, but it will go across the touchline before, or the end line, before Hooper can get there. And United States with another goal kick. Another point we want to mention about this, as I was talking to the U.S. coaches before the first game, they did mention that that win by the United States national team on Monday was the first win by a United States team over a Canadian team in any type of play on the national level, either for men or women. So that was a big occasion for the United States, and they are looking right now that they may get the second win over a Canadian team here in this mini overtime game. 2-0 the score. We're playing 2 15-minute halves, and we are about 8 minutes into this first half. And out on the field we've got a free kick for the Canadian team. A wall built for the United States just outside the penalty area. And the ball sent in, and Gretchen Gegg has an easy time bringing that down to the ground. And she'll set things back up. You can see how many fans are here just by the bouncing of some of our cameras. They get down there on some of those stands and they can really cheer and make the camera move. Tough play there again. And it looked like Hooper was right in the middle of that. She is really a tough player, and she sent a few U.S. players to the ground in this game, and that time again she was caught. United States with the kick deep in their own end.
A little history on the USA Cup and all. Really started in 1984 when Ivar Sorensen, a Sons of Norway member, brought his soccer team that he was coaching over to Oslo, Norway. And he looked at the Sons of Norway for sponsorship of the team and tried to model it.
Here's another chance for the United States, excuse me, Alan, but it looked like they caught it on an offsides.
No problem. But he was trying to model the USA Cup after the Norway Cup, and of course Norway's Cup is the world's largest international youth soccer tournament, and has been held annually since 1972, attracting over 25,000 boys and girls from over 1,000 teams throughout Europe and throughout the world. And so now the USA Cup ranks amongst some of the most prestigious tournaments for amateur soccer within the world. And it's right here on Blaine, Minnesota.
A little rough play in midfield there for a moment, but we are back to play. The Canadian team with the free kick, and now some more rough play, and the referee just says play on.
Good call.
And the referee comes right over here. He wanted a few words with some of the Canadian players, but they continue going back on. Now another throw-in for Canada.
The play is going to get rougher and rougher as we get towards the end. The players are actually exhausted, I believe, right now, and it doesn't really take too much to get on obstruction right now.
Canadian team looking to try to work the ball down the wing, and they do that, but it's a little bit too far ahead of everyone, and Gretchen Gegg will have an easy play on the ball.
They will have to rush quite a bit there from now on. In order, time is a big factor now on their side.
Exactly. It played against the United States in that first game, and now Canada's feeling a little bit of that.
There's huge pressure on them right now to score, at least in the first half of the 30 minutes.
Flick on into the middle.
United States team doing a nice job of clearing, but here's a shot from long range. Gretchen Gegg luckily caught that one right off the foot of the Canadian player. That could have been trouble. And some more rough play on the far side. As Nick just pointed out, players getting a little bit tired, and it's easy sometimes when you're a little bit tired to fall down on the ball and maybe put a little bit more into a player rather than using some speed.
Yeah, and it actually might be good for the USA to get used to this style of play a little bit, because when they do go over to Italy later this month, they're going to be hitting some of the European teams who do play a little bit rougher. And so the United States is going to have to get used to this style of play.
Definitely, Alan. As you said, I was in Italy in the summer of '82, and I watched England in Italy. It was a real treat. I mean, the soccer and the style, it wasn't that much different from the men's team. And they're quite a strong team.
And of course, in Italy in 1982, Italy won the World Cup.
Definitely.
You seem happy about that, Nick.
I seem no, it's no, not necessarily. I seem happy to be able to have been able to watch the game. not
I can imagine that.
But
Okay, we just wanted to make sure though if you were
well,
putting a plug in for the Italian team or not.
I was born in a Latin country, so
Okay, that explains it.
I should have been able to be happy.
Back out on the field, the United States keeps the pressure on, and again it's April Heinrichs who has really made a difference here for the United States offense. She did come into the game, and after we found out that she was the real number 8, we have been able to credit her with a number of fine plays. Unofficially, we're at 13 minutes here in the first half of this mini game to determine the champion here between these two teams. And earlier, we should mention, you did see, I believe it was at halftime of the first game, just as we went to halftime, not only do these teams take some high hopes away from this with some wins, but they also will take some fine hardware. There's a nice cup sitting just to the left of us that the winner will take away. A whistle on the near sideline, and the United States will throw the ball in. And we are nearing the last minute here. We'll keep our eye on the referee to see where time ticks down here, but it looks like the United States team is going to finish up this first half with a nice 2-0 lead. That is if they do not make it 3-0 as they keep the pressure on. Ball is finally cleared out towards midfield. Lisa Gamitter with the ball, trying to work towards the corner. Lemieux with a nice defensive play for Canada, and she finally does end up sending the ball out of bounds. U.S. throw-in far side, and this could go a long ways. Ball touched back to the player who did take the throw-in. She's taken off the ball, and that will be Pam Cornell getting back up for the throw-in. Cornell with one of the goals. And that is the end of the first half of this mini game. And we'll have another 15-minute half, and I don't think we'll have much of a break here. And it looks like we might have here in Blaine, and it looks like the United States has things well in hand, but you never know. We saw the Canadian team score a few goals in that first game, and I'm sure they will keep the pressure on the U.S. team 15 minutes straight right now.
Some bit of good news. I was just over on the USA bench, and Kim Wyant was actually able to put a little bit of pressure on that right leg. It's in a little bit of a bandage just to keep it wrapped and tight, has some ice on it to keep the swelling down, but she was able to put some weight on it. Hopefully the extent of her injury wasn't too severe.
Canadian team trying to apply a little pressure. They've kept the ball down the United States end for the first minute of the second half. Now the United States trying to control. Emily Pickering watches the ball go out of bounds. U.S. throw-in. Ball sent towards the corner, and we'll see if we can get across here out of the United States.
Shielding the ball, number 16 in the corner, gets across.
Nice cross, and it goes right in front, and in fact it ends right up on top of the net. Goal kick for Canada. All of our camera people have been commenting that the ball has been on this near side of the field for the entire time, and I've been trying to think of the theory behind that, and what I've come up with is that maybe the shade factor. The stands are here, the vans are over on this side, and the players may just be trying to stay in the shade, although I don't think the coaches would agree with that, but for our camera people, there's a little explanation. Canadian team with some pressure here. The last line of defense for the United States is able to clear it away. Charmaine Hooper with a nice attempt there, but just could not turn enough to get a shot on goal. Also, Ann Karen with a nice play on goal. She was the one that started things up for the Canadian team. And looking out on the field right now, it looks like the Canadian team may be a step or so faster. Although that time the United States was a little too fast, got caught offside. But as I was saying, the team from Canada appears to have one more step on the United States now, as well they might have to, being down 2-0. They've got to put the pressure on.
That's number 16, Pam Cornell. There's a nice shot of some of the crowd one of the younger future soccer players that's here in the crowd here at Blaine, watching this fine tournament. We have a swell group of fans out here supporting their teams and just watching some good quality soccer.
Looks like the ball will play it all the way back to Gretchen Gegg. The United States just taking their time and sending that ball all the way back, something I'm sure they will not be too bashful to do for the rest of this game. Although Canada will keep the pressure on. There goes the ball back to Gegg. And she'll take her time and set things up. And Karen, though, right on top of her, she's going to make Gegg think about it a little bit, if nothing else. Ball right to midfield. And the player from Canada took one right on the shin there and fell right down to the ground, but got right back up.
No, her
her
leg was taken out right from underneath her. That was number 16, Sally Perry, whose right leg was taken out, and the foul was called. Free kick for Canada.
And as you might imagine, she did not have a smile on her face when she went down. A little grimace out of that. Here's a chance for the United States. Ball played through. And April just gets the ball kicked off her feet by the new goaltender for the Canadian team. And now the ball continues in, and it's a goal for the United States.
That's all hers. She deserves all the credit for that. She brought it down. She made the shot. It went off the goaltender, and the rebound came right back to her. That was number 8, I believe.
It's April Heinrichs again.
April Heinrichs, who came in the second half, replacing, I can't remember who, but she was a substitute. I believe she replaced Michelle Akers. And April Heinrichs has been hustling all night and finally paid off, putting the USA up 3-0 here in this mini game. The USA has a commanding lead with less than 10 minutes left.
Definitely, Alan. I noticed she has a really good speed, and she takes advantage of it really well. That's what happens. She passes everybody else on the speed, throws the ball away, and just runs after it.
I think we saw that before. If we remember back to the goal on this end where she took it down the left wing, she just flat out beat everyone.
It happened. The same thing happened there, and she's going to be a really good factor on the team morale, probably in Europe. I hope so.
Here's another player who's made it tough for the United States. That's Hooper again, but she has been pretty much shut down this game. The United States defense, to their credit, a good job of marking Hooper. She has only been able to come up with an assist for the team from Canada. Now to about the 9-minute mark in the second half of this mini game. Ball played back to the goaltender again, and Gegg will send it right back out. And I believe that was Lori Henry we saw on the far side. Now, if you remember that name back to the other game, she was the one that went in as goaltender when the United States was out of subs. She's got to be breathing a little bit easier now. Now she's back to where she's used to, out on the field where she can use her feet. And there you see our score in this mini game. It is the second half. 3-0 is the score. I think our production crew wants just a longer game, so they're leaving the first half up there. Emily Pickering with the ball at midfield. And now they'll send the ball down the left wing. Advantage rule will play on for the United States, and they'll look for a cross here. A nice cross, and that's knocked out by the Canada defense. Lemieux is the one that got it out, and we'll have a corner kick for the United States. Another interesting moment for Carla Chin, who is the new goaltender for the Canadian team. And she's already been beat once, and that was by that nice play by Heinrichs, and we'll see what happens here on the corner kick. Ball played nicely in, and a nice play by Chin to punch it away, and in fact we're going to get a foul called on the United States team. Chin had a little help getting up in the air to that ball, and so we'll go the other way with the kick for the team from Canada, and they're going to hurry and get this ball back in play because we've got 7 minutes approximately left in this game. And Chin will put the ball back into play. And the ball takes a few bounces, and it looks like the Canadian team may get a chance out of this. A 2-on-1, the ball sent through and sent back to Gegg. I think a United States player may have got their foot on that to slow that rush down.
And yes, they did. You may notice that the United States has gone a little bit more into a defensive shell. They're dropping at least one or two fullbacks, staying back there at all times, preventing a quick break from Canada. Canada is going to have a tough time coming back with only about 5 minutes left in this game, and down by 3 goals.
They're trying here as they send the ball right back in, and that's going to go across the end line.
I believe, excuse me, I believe Canada is really relying on a congestion in the goal area, but they're not. Our girls really came back and their confidence went up. They filled up their confidence, and they're passing a lot better, controlling the ball, and they're really finding each other on the court.
And the coaches really have to be happy with what's happened here, because as we've mentioned a few times, it's not like these players have played together for an entire season or two. The truth has been that they have been thrown together in the last few weeks, if even that much, and have been asked to all play together and represent the United States. And I think today the coaches can say that the team is coming together and they're playing very well, and have to look up for the upcoming tournaments.
What's most amazing, I think, about the comeback, you have to remember Canada was up 2-0 at one time in this game, and all of a sudden the United States lost their goalkeeper, which seems like even more of a deficit, and they had run out of substitutions, and they were able to come back and play a little bit harder. Each one of the players that was on the field was able to play a little bit harder, and they came back, tied up the game, and finally they went ahead, and I'm sorry, they didn't go ahead. Canada was able to maintain the 2-1 lead for a while. Then the United States kept trying. It wound up 2-1 at the end of that game. Went into this overtime game. The United States got back their goaltender, and now they're leading 3-0.
You really got to hand it to them. That is tough to come back from something like that. You would think that the Canadian team would really put it to the United States because of that win in the first game, but it did not happen. As we saw, the United States scored that first goal in this mini game, and that was within the first minute of play. I don't know what the coach said, but if whatever it was, he probably wants to patent it, because other coaches would like to have that, whatever he said, to get his players to score in 1 minute.
And well away by number 9, Shelley McNichol.
Canada clears the ball all the way across the field. The United States will take the throw-in, and we're down to about 4 minutes left in this mini game, and 2 players from Canada run into each other, and that leaves an open shot for the United States, but the shot goes over the top of the goal, and player from Canada down. I don't think that's too much pain. It's probably a little fatigue and a little bit of frustration, as this United States team has come back and quite handily taken it to the Canadians in the second game. That was Kathy Ross, who we've mentioned quite a few times, fine defender for the Canadian team, but this has just not been their game here, this mini game. Ball cleared across the field by Canada, held in by the United States, and they'll keep the pressure on. They are not going back on defense. They are trying to keep the pressure on, and there you see a perfect example by Pickering across in front, and a dangerous play in front. The ball cleared back to the goaltender, and Carla Chin able to pick it up and send it back out. And another try here by Canada.
Sweeper for the United States picks it up, plays it wide.
United States able to pick it off. Their defense has really played well here in this overtime game.
They got 5 fullbacks there, just staying back a little bit, playing a little bit of defense. Trying to give the goaltender a shutout here in this mini game.
And now the defenders will just pass it around a little bit between themselves to take a few more minutes off. Should be down to about 2 minutes now on the official clock, and it's a good thing because the sun is beginning to go down, and in a few more minutes we may have to get out the flashlights here to see what's going on, but I don't think it's going to last that long. Time is quickly ticking away.
For Canada.
We're going to have a kick for the Canadian team. Right here on the near sideline, there you see the player setting it up.
I'd like to remind everyone once again that the
Jeannie Monsui with the ball, and she'll be sending it across. I stand corrected on that. Sally Perry. The United States with the ball on the far side, and they'll send it back out towards midfield. And they don't mind seeing it go high into the air, and we're going to have a substitution here for the United States team. Another player will get a chance to go in. First substitution for either team in this overtime game. It's Marcia McDermott, who played quite a bit in that first game, and now she's going to get a chance to come back in and play a minute or two in the second game.
Actually, there was a few substitutions after the first half of this mini game. But now Marsh McDermott, who did score a goal in Monday's game for the USA, is into the game. There's only about a minute left. I just saw the referee look at his watch. There's only about a minute left in this game.
And April Heinrichs with a nice play, and just unable to carry it into the corner, but she gets it right back. She has really been the standout player here in this mini game, playing some fantastic soccer. And you can see there she's just taking control and taking a few seconds off the clock. And looks like we may have an offside, so they'll put the ball down quickly and get things going, but we're under 1 minute. 3-0 for the United States, and they look like they'll go away with the cup after this tournament, and with a lot of momentum going into the tournament coming up the end of July in Italy. And I think we would all agree that the United States will represent us well with the kind of play we've seen today.
Definitely. I think Dave and both you and Alan, I think you both agree with me that both teams do deserve credit for putting on such a beautiful show. I think they showed a lot of quality in here, and it's really encouraging for the American television to have such a quality game, and the American game, soccer, is picking it up. It's getting closer to the European style. And
That's it. We have a new North American Cup Women's Champion for 1986. USA has defeated Canada by a score of 3-0. Dave?
And there you see in front of us the coaches. Well, you see the teams coming off the field, the U.S. team congratulating themselves, and they should rightly do that because they played a very fine game. You see the score, 3-0, the U.S. Nationals winning, and there will be a quick award ceremony here. And there you see the Canadian team coming over and congratulating the United States, and no doubt these two teams will meet sometime again down the road in international soccer. So for the entire crew, this is Dave Kaiser, and I want to thank you for joining us. Alan Freilich and Nick Manchu, thanks to both of you for joining us, and thanks to the people of Blaine and all the organizers of this soccer tournament. It is fantastic. We've seen some great soccer, and hats off to the United States with a 3-0 win in this overtime game to take that cup, the 1986 North American Women's Championship. Thanks for joining us on Northwest Community Television.